Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry Capella, and I am a certified mom mentor, and life coach. And today I am doing an interview with the beautiful Liz Williams, who is here with me live, as you can see. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Liz's experience on a new program that I just released called the Seekers Method. And Liz is going to start by telling us a little bit about who she is, and then we'll dive into what the Seekers Method does, what it most specifically did for her. But first, we're going to start with who she is and what brought her to this point. So, Liz, if you would, please tell us a little bit about who you are.
All right. I'm Liz Williams, and I've been married to Doug for almost 25 years. We have 6 children together. We homeschooled all of them. 3 are now in college. One's getting ready to graduate, and he's in his 5th year, actually. Go on to get married next summer. And the other 3 are still at home. We're doing the homeschooling thing with them. We have rabbits and chickens and dogs and cats, and we live out in the mountains of Wyoming, where it's just kind of us in our little bubble, which we like. And I came to Sherry's program because she was looking for beta testers, and I've struggled with weight for most of my adult life. It wasn't really something when I was younger, but as an adult, a big struggle for me, and had finally been seeing a little success, had plateaued, and she came on with her thing, and I thought, maybe this will break that, and I'm looking for something new to keep things going, and accountability is always a big thing for me. When I have that accountability, I tend to stick to it a little more, so thought I'd give that a shot, and yeah, so here I am.
And I mean, seriously, I'm blown away by your results, and so I just have to say right now how proud I am of you. And how amazing you look. So thank you so much for just digging in and doing all of the hard work.
Thanks.
So I'm going to dive in. I have a host of questions here. I suspect it's going to foster just some natural conversation, so I'm just going to start. So first and foremost, we're talking about the Seekers Method. And for those of you who don't know much about it, I encourage you to follow the link that will be provided below this video in terms of how you can find out about not only joining or purchasing the Seekers Method weight loss program, but learning a little bit more about it. So information will be linked below. Most specifically, I do want to highlight overall and just say that the Seekers Method is a program that I wrote, where I compiled a host of data provided by a host of pastors and ministers and sermons and theologians, where I attempted to create a weight loss program that would bridge the gap between spirituality and weight loss and bring together a metaphorical Bible study into the weight loss arena to help you understand how to leverage the power of the Holy Spirit within you to help you lose weight. So that's a little bit about what it is. But Liz, most specifically, what I'd like to know a little bit more about from you, because you kind of alluded to this, but is when you first started as a beta tester in the Seekers Method, it sounds like you were struggling to lose a little bit of weight. It sounds like you were at a plateau. Could you tell us if there's anything more you want to expound in that area, but most specifically, what were your biggest obstacles with weight loss in any capacity, be it self-sabotage, self-control, deprivation? What were, some of those things that you dealt with or struggled with the most?
I think in general, across the board, whenever I have tried to lose weight, it was mostly kind of that self-sabotage. But I think with that was connected a little bit of the lack of self-control, lack of, or the feeling of being deprived. They kind of all were a trifecta, I guess you could say, that worked together. I would sabotage myself by saying, I can't do this. Look, I binged here, so I might as well give up. And that was a big self-sabotage for me. Or, I can't not have my chips and cheese or my piece of cake or whatever. So that deprivation would kind of kick in. And so it was all like a snowball effect. The one would catapult the other, would keep the next one rolling. And so I think it was that combination of things of a mental game, I guess, of I can't do it on my own. I can't stick to this. Plus, I don't want to not be able to eat XYZ. And so it was really kind of a combination of those things that kept me kind of trapped, I guess, in that mental thinking of how and what weight loss looked like, what a diet looked like.
Yes. And that's the operative word there, diet, because that's one of the things is we get so stuck in our thoughts, and so many times, so many diet programs don't necessarily give us the tools to get out of our thinking. And I think that's kind of where we've bridged the gap in the Seekers Method, and being able to bring our thinking to the table. This is definitely not a workout program. It's not, a monthly subscription. It's not meal replacement. It's none of that. It is leveraging what you already have, but undoing some of the thoughts and thinking patterns that you've created. So the next thing I'd like to ask you about a little bit is, because I know how, you were first introduced and brought into the Seekers Method, and that you saw, me going to Facebook and soliciting people to do a beta test for me, for the program. But I'd like to ask you, aside from what drew you to the program, what it was that you ultimately liked about the program.
Ultimately, having gone through the whole thing now, the biggest thing for me is that when I was thinking about the questions you gave me, it's not a diet. It's a life change. And I can't even say it's a lifestyle. It's truly a life change. The fact that you do put in the faith-based aspects, I'll admit, when you first told me it was spiritually based, I kind of was like, everybody has a little different view on what spirituality is. And so this could get a little kooky, and so I was a little nervous initially because I didn't know what you meant by that from your little, glimpse of it. But it truly did. It changed me in a lot of ways from things that I had been dealing with in the past and just my recent past. And it brought me back to a place where my faith is strong again, where my time in the Bible is strong again. So that Bible component is huge. And I think that's the biggest thing that I kind of didn't anticipate, and that I think is phenomenal about this program, is it truly is life-changing and brings you back to the Bible. And it's very biblically based, very faith-based. And that's I think, the key for this program.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, which is what was missing for me, being so cerebral. I found that, it's easy for me to move my body and to do all the things, but I felt like the thing that held me back was up here. Mm-hmm. And, I was counting on and relying on willpower, probably much like you. And when I didn't have the willpower to do it, I was then leaning on different things like motivation, and all of these things are not necessarily the fundamental, they're not the pillars of this program. The pillars of this program are unlike that, in that I'm showing you how to be led by the Spirit. But I want to focus on you. Let's talk a little bit about what was the hardest part of the program for you?
Initially, the hardest part was you have us choose a program, an eating program, a way to kind of get your body used to eating in a better way, so that I'm not eating chips and cheese for my lunch. And choosing the Whole30, which is a kind of an elimination diet, was quite difficult initially. And ironically, looking back, ridiculous, but my hardest thing was giving up my coffee with cream, Splenda, and whipped cream on top. That was my little dessert that I carried around all day long, and I did not want to give that up. That, you and I had several conversations. Sherry, how am I going to do this? I can't drink black coffee. Well, I'm here to say today that I don't necessarily love black coffee, but I like it, and I don't necessarily need to have my little dessert cup of coffee carried around all day long. I've learned to like it in different ways, and I get the quote unquote benefits of my caffeine in the morning, and I'm not a slave to my cup of dessert all day long. So that was silly, but going to the Whole30, giving up all those foods, but the dairy and Splenda in my coffee was probably my initial hard thing that I had to do in the program.
And you know what? You're not alone. Who wouldn't love to have a cup of coffee that you talked about? But you've learned that that's a way that we get trapped, and that's the way that we have limiting beliefs, and we create these habits, and we become products of the world.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so proud of you, because I know how hard that is. I mean, trust me, I was there. I had a different vice. Mine was a goblet of wine per night, thinking, how am I ever gonna, but it's a vicious cycle. And until you realize you have the power to step away from that, you are a slave to it, but you're not anymore. You're free.
Yep.
That's so good. That was hard. I remember that, but you did it. What was easier than you had anticipated?
Something that I guess phase 2 was easy for me, partly because I had already been introduced to it, to the kind of basic concept of it through my OBGYN office. They have a weight loss program. It was a different kind of way of looking at it, what they proposed, but I think that got me ready. And then being able to successfully do the Whole30, I think it all gelled together. The fact that I had already been a little bit introduced to what you introduced in phase 2 helped me achieve Whole30 easier, because my body was used to less food and just all that. But then stepping from Whole30, which was very restrictive in a lot of ways, and phase 2 was significantly easier than I ever thought. I was able to really expand my personal times that I utilize those benefits way more than I ever thought I could.
Yeah.
So phase 2 was a lot easier than I think mentally I would have ever anticipated.
And I just want to stop you there because, so Liz and I talked a little bit about this interview, and she was, we were talking about how we would talk about phase 2. So what Liz is referring to here is meal timing. And in this particular program, Liz definitely, like the other beta testers, had to not only understand meal timing and lean into it as it relates to switching her body from burning sugar to switching her body to burning fat. And so one of the ways that she was able to really downshift and step into her hormone regulation was through the timing of her meals and correcting her hormones through hunger correction, through meal timing, all of these things. Now, one of the things that the Seekers Method does take you through, and you did an eloquent job at of answering that question, I should add, but one of the things that the Seekers Method takes you through is how in the Bible they fasted. And today in our modern culture, when people hear fasting, they cringe, they say no way. But look what Liz did. She already stepped away from the cup of coffee, the dessert coffee, the self-proclaimed dessert coffee, and she stepped toward the direction of her next fear, which was leaning into fasting. And we're not talking 48 hours of fasting, 36 hours. We're talking about how to really comprehend how you already fast and then just build upon the ways that we already fast. Because as you learned in the program and had already had some concepts of, when you wake up in the morning, you're fasted. And so this program just shows you how to possibly push that out and extend it and lean into it the right way. So great answer to that. Let's talk a little bit about how the program has changed you spiritually, emotionally, and obviously physically.
Well, physically is the pretty outward obvious. Between the program I started with my doctor and you, I've lost a total of 65 pounds now. I've gone from a size like 22, 2X large to a size 6'8", depending on the make of the clothes. Lots of people, when they see my picture, think I'm my 19-year-old daughter, which is pretty phenomenal to me at almost 50. So physically, that was a big outward appearance manifestation, but also physically just how I feel. I used to have to take a nap almost every day. And we're talking not like a cat nap. We're talking an hour to 2 hour nap, 3 o'clock hit. And I'm like, girls, you're on your own. I'm taking a nap. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm productive. I'm able to get a lot more done around the house. Emotionally, I think through a lot of the things that your program taught, I'm able to deal with some of the things that maybe my dessert coffee would cover up, or my nap would cover up. So emotionally, but spiritually, I think is the biggest thing. From my girls 3 years ago, almost 4 now, were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 3 weeks apart. And then my mom passed away 2 weeks after that. So within a 2-month span, was hit with a lot of emotional things. And I refer to that time in life, a year and a half of the grief, the fog of grief, because I pretty much was. I was walking through in a fog. I would either sleep, eat, or cry. I said that was what I did for about a year and a half. So I did gain a lot of weight, and I just wasn't functioning well. And I had also not received the comfort and the support I expected to receive from my church family. And so I had really pushed away and pulled away from God. I wasn't doing my daily Bible studies anymore. I was praying, but more those little, thank you, God, for my food, the fluff prayers that we all just kind of naturally do. But through your program, I've actually come back. I think there was a lot of healing that was done through this program, because you did have so many sermons out there, so many teachings and workshops that really just put you back to the Bible. And you actually gave, through the program, a process of the how I've been looking for in my Christian life. I've been a Christian since I was about 21 years old. And there's always been that, well, how do you get to there? How, and yeah, you read the Bible, you hear the sermons, but you had a step-by-step. And that was something I think I've been seeking for a very, very, most of my Christian life, most of my adult life. And you gave that to me, and this program gave that to me. And so for me, yes, the physical is great. Outwardly, I look better, I feel better, but the inside, the heart stuff, the spiritual stuff has been phenomenal for me. I'm now looking forward to reading my Bible. I know that I was stuck, I would try and I would read, but it was literally like the words were going in and that was it. There was nothing, and I just couldn't get myself back into a habit of, okay, this is what you're going to read. And now I yearn for that. Every morning I get up and I do my journal that you've taught, and I'm doing my Bible study, and I'm found a study that I enjoy. And so that is, even for me, even if I hadn't lost any weight, that was so profound for me that I would do this program again just for that. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And I would love to have you on the program with me again. I think one of the biggest things I found in the program that I learned from one of the ministers, I think it was Shane Eidelman, was that our spiritual disciplines do have physical rewards.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that up until this point, the world had it all wrong. Well, I shouldn't say they had it all wrong, but my impression of it was that I had to do physical things in order to have physical disciplines, in order to have physical rewards, and spirituality was not in there at all. And that was the missing thing for me. So I'm just I'm so thankful to see that that it worked for you as well, because where you are disciplined spiritually, it will manifest physically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. And so I want to see what you think about this one. The intention behind the Seeker's Method is to shift your focus from seeking a number on the scale to seeking God. Do you feel that this has been accomplished since nearly completing the program? I think it's safe to say that, yeah, your focus has.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned just from our previous, that before I struggled to have my Bible time. I'm a Sunday school teacher, so I would have to prepare, and I would, open my Bible and read my daily proverb or, whatever. But it wasn't a heart thing. It was a duty, it was something I knew I needed to do. And I was trying to get back to where I knew I needed to be and where I used to be. But it was just a struggle. And so, totally changed and helped me in so many ways.
So happy to hear that. So happy. I have no idea. There were days, and you're not alone, because there were many days before this program and developing and stepping into and being obedient with even just creating the program, that I would phone in the Bible study. I would just read the paragraph, leave, and I'd be in the other room doing nothing and couldn't even tell you what I just studied.
Yeah.
And now I'm to the point where I can barely get out of the book of Luke, because every sentence I'm like, wow, that's so good. It's transformational. So I'm with you. That is so fantastic. We're almost at the end, but I want to ask you, in your opinion, how was this program different from other weight loss programs that you've tried in the past?
Well, kind of related to the previous two answers, I think the reliance on God. I've done lots and lots, probably just about every variety of weight loss program out there I've probably tried. And most of it is, like you have referred to, it's reliance on the exercise program, or drinking the shake, or eating the right foods, So, and not that that's not a component that is. You have to, make healthy choices to make results, but relying on God's strength. I mean, every day in your program, you give that method of praying, you kind of can't think of the word.
APTAT?
Acronym, yes, the APTAT. And every morning, I get up and I just think through that and pray through that. And so every morning, reminding myself that 1A is asking for God's strength, and that's huge. I mean, so it's so reliant upon God, and it's not on my own self-control. It's not on my doing. It's on his help and his doing and following his leading through things. And I think, again, I've referred to this, but something that's so different from your program than anything else is it's not just your weight loss, it's your life, it's your life change. And so that's the biggest thing with your program, is that it really is, it's the reliance on God. It's you getting the tools that you give to make that reliance easier to happen. It's
Absolutely.
You give the tools, you give the steps. I think I referred to that with the your, not the APTAT, but your battle plans of walking through those are so beneficial in so many areas of life, not just through weight loss, but big in weight loss. If you're really stuck on, I can't give up my coffee with creamer and sugar, and, just relying on God. Okay, God, let me walk through this. Let me see what this looks like. Why am I reliant on this coffee, this dessert coffee every day? And so that's huge to me. I think the reliance on God and really pulling on his strength and his power to get you through on the hard days. Because it is hard. I mean, weight loss is hard, and learning to lean into him is hard. And
yeah, it's hard when we think we're doing it in our strength. And
yep.
The reality is instead of doing anything in our strength, we spend most of our time toiling, and then it's self-defeating, and it's back to the vicious cycle of self-sabotage and control and deprivation and all the things that, come with being on a diet. And so the next question I had was, do you feel, and I think you've kind of answered this, that you have the tools that you need now to manage your weight going forward, keeping God first place in all areas? And I think you kind of feel like you do have those tools now.
Yes.
And if you
yep.
don't,
definitely. I mean, you
get them.
You walk us through. You what?
If you don't have them,
I couldn't hear that last.
If you find that you don't have all of the tools, at least now you know that you have the means to go and gather them. If not referencing the material, how to go and solicit
yes.
it and get out of your own way through battle
plan. Yeah, definitely. I think, and you walk it through. It's not like it's bam, here they are, have at it. You have a progression of walking through all these different tools. And I think you and I just recently talked about one of my recent fears that just kind of surfaced right after I posted my before and after pictures was, what if I don't maintain this? What if I start gaining back? Oh, and it was that kind of mentality that I've had in the past of, okay, I've made it, now what? And you reminded me, I have a tool for that. I have a way to walk myself through that, leaning into God and knowing that he's got me. He's already gone ahead and he has that victory for me. And so, we do have tools now through your program to not only continue in a weight loss if you haven't gotten there yet. Not everyone is necessarily going to meet their goal in the 90 days with you, with the program, but you give the tools to keep going and to get there. Or if you do meet your goal, you now have those tools to keep those mind games from getting in the way, and for relying on God and letting him help you continue with that victory. So there's definitely.
You're so good. So I assume this was your first time ever being on a weight loss journey with a life coach.
With a true life coach, I believe, but I have been in a couple where they have quote unquote coaches. But I would say that, now doing both, that although I've had one program that the one person that was supposedly helping was decent. She was trying to do what she could, but it was obviously based around that program she was working with. I think it was more of a cheerleader kind of approach as opposed to a true life coach. So I guess this is my first true life coach, but I've had a couple other programs where they had quote unquote coaches from their specific product or their specific program that was kind of there. But and looking at the two, I would say one was a cheerleader, one was more, and not that you didn't cheer me on, but you actually coached me and guided me and gave me the tools. The other programs, I think they gave me the programs, or the supplements, or the exercise regime or whatever, and then tried to cheer me into following it.
Yep.
So yeah.
Been there, done that. Bought all the programs, drank all the shakes, done them all. And while they're fantastic and they worked for me for a season,
for a while,
as I grew and I started to seek things physically only, I felt the deprivation spiritually. And I think that when you start to get out of balance in that regard, that's where this program can kind of come in and help you to just step into things from a whole different vantage point.
Yep.
I agree. Who do you feel rather would be best served for this particular program, the Seekers Method?
Well, my short answer is anyone. I mean, if you have the heart to truly lean in and to listen to your coaching and listen to God's prompting, I think it's good for anyone. But I guess I would preface it with that you do have to have a heart that you're willing to listen to those things. If you're someone who's like, nope, can't do that Bible thing, then this may not be. But if you're open and you're willing to really lean into the Holy Spirit, then this, I think, can work for anyone.
I completely agree. In fact, there are women who have now done between the alpha and the beta testing who didn't understand much about how to have a relationship with God. They weren't to the understanding that you had even coming to it to really know how to have a relationship. They had a religion and they aspired to be like the people in church who had their hands up. They just didn't know what was it that was different between somebody who walked in and had a religion and somebody who walked life and had a relationship. And there is a big difference. The last question I have for you is, would you recommend this program to any other woman, mom, or otherwise?
Highly. Obviously, from my testimony or from my before and after pictures, lots of my, quote unquote, Facebook friends have been like, give me information. And I haven't been like, oh no, don't. No, I've been like, here, go. So yes, I would highly recommend it. And like I said at the very beginning, not only for the weight loss, but for the life change. I mean, if I hadn't lost a single pound, but got what I got in my heart from this, I would have still said, do it. You may not lose weight, but I think you will, because your program works in that aspect too. But even if it didn't, I would have said, this is a program that's not just about your waistline. It's about your heart line. And that's so much more important. And
I agree. Liz,
so, yeah.
Thank you for doing this interview with me. Thank you for leaning in and giving so much of yourself. I am so proud of you, and I'm just thankful that you trusted me enough to be a coach for you to lead you through this narrow path, and you did an amazing job. I'm thankful.
Well, thank you, and thank you for accepting me as a beta and for walking me through this. It's been fabulous.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.